Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. Quiet. That was like a crazy, week or 2 weeks it was. I think it's calmed down a bit. I think in August, a lot of hockey personnel and maybe general managers take August off for vacations with their families, soak up some sun. It's a break. It's been a bit quiet on the Coyotes front. Not much news. They signed Travis Boyd, a depth centerman, played with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Vancouver Canucks. I'm sure he'll get his looks if there's injuries down the middle, and I'm sure he'll compete for the fourth line center spot with Jay Beagle. So this video, as well know, Arizona's back, not back, but they're back playing 82 game season, and they're now moving to the Central Division, no longer in the Pacific. So I just wanted to see, where the other Central teams are at. I know we were very familiar with the Avalanche, St. Louis Blues, and Minnesota Wild. But there's a couple teams here that the Coyotes, really haven't played in about 18 months. Nashville too. We remember them from the play-in round. So let's get into it. I'll start on this side. Honestly, one of the teams in the Central Divisions that had the most departures besides Arizona was the Avalanche, and I was hoping that the Coyotes wouldn't trade Kemper to the Avalanche, because they lost so many players in the offseason that I was just hoping, if we didn't give them Kemper, they would scramble and try to get, a weaker goaltender, but they managed to give up a first and Timmins for Kemper. So they got their goalie back, a very good goalie who could take them far, hopefully. But yeah, losing Grubauer, Donskoy, Sad, Belmar. Belmar's a great guy. I was hoping the Coyotes would pick him up. Graves, Cole, Timmins, Calvert retired. That's a lot of depth the Colorado Avalanche lost. Obviously, they had to sign Makar and Landeskog to those huge contracts, which they're deserved. But they didn't replace these guys really. Ryan Murray, 7th D-man, 6th D-man, stay-at-home D-man. Darren Helm, I thought he was gone. I thought he was retired from the league. Somehow he's still in the league. And then they got Jordan Gross in free agency from the Coyotes. Maybe a sort of replacement for Timmins. He's an offensive D-man. Maybe Gross gets some good looks on the Avalanche. But they still got elite players: McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, Kadri, still their second-line centerman who's really good. But you can't replace Donskoy, Saad. Those are some good supporting depth offensive players on your forward group. And then depth guys like Belmar with the sandpaper, Cole, Graves. They lose Graves and Timmins, but they still have Byram, Makar, Gerard, Taves. So their top four is still good. Just their bottom pairing might have taken a hit. You have Kemper and Francouz as your tandem. Hopefully Francouz and Kemper don't get injured this year. They've been both battle injuries a lot. So that's where Colorado's at. They did take a hit in the offseason. I still think they're going to win the division, but not as decidingly as last season. St. Louis, they added Buchnevich and Saad from Colorado. I loved Buchnevich when he was on the New York Rangers, had him in my pool. I felt like he really clicked with Zibanejad and the Rangers. Not sure why the Rangers decided to trade him for Sammy Blais in a third round. Not sure about that one. I think they're trying to make cap room for other moves and signings. But they lose Hoffman, a longtime Blue man, in Schwartz, Dunn, and like I said, Sammy Blais. They replace Hoffman with Buchnevich, that's fine. Schwartz with Saad, I guess. They didn't take much of a hit. I don't really know where St. Louis is at right now. They're kind of retooling. There's reports that they want to trade Tarasenko, so maybe they just want to refresh their look a bit. Still middle of the pack, not really a division title contender, I would say. Bozak, he's a free agent. Wonder where he goes. A lot of teams looking for centermen. Boston, Montreal. We'll get to those later. So yeah, St. Louis kind of, lost some and gained some. They signed Saad to a long-term contract. It's good to see Saad get some stability. Surprised Colorado let him go. Dallas, we haven't seen Dallas in so long. Holtby, what a fall from grace. He was highly sought after he left Washington. Vancouver picked him up and then decided to trade him away in 1 year. Same with Nate Schmidt. Very odd. And they also get Ryan Suter from the Minnesota Wild, who was a free agent after being bought out. They lose Dickinson. I think that's their biggest loss. Good, maybe third line forward who had some depth scoring for the Dallas Stars. With the Stars stuff, Sagan, Ben, Kiviranta, Rupi Hintz, some good D-men. Dallas, I have to get my mind back of where Dallas is at. I think they're ahead of St. Louis, but behind Colorado for sure. Vatanen is a UFA, still hasn't signed anywhere. He was sought after when he was on Anaheim, and then went to New Jersey. Then he was flipped at a deadline, maybe to Dallas or someone else. I don't really remember well. But yeah, they also lose Cogliano, who was like a depth centerman for them, and Alexiak to Seattle. But, he's not really too much of an important D-man for Dallas. They have some good other D-men, Klingberg, Heiskanen, and some others. Dallas. It'll be weird to face Dallas again. Going on in Nashville, they lost a chunk as well. Not really sure where their head's at. Pekka Rinne retires. They trade Ellis. They lose Haula. I would have loved Haula on the Coyotes. Good third line centerman. Yarncrook, Arvidsson, those are huge names, huge Nashville Predator mainstays that are just gone. They replaced with Cody Glass from Vegas, who's like a young rookie, still hasn't really broken out. He'll get more ice time with Nashville as opposed to Vegas. Philip Myers from Philadelphia to replace Ellis. Not sure about that. Ellis is an amazing defenseman. Not sure why they really traded Ellis. And then David Riddick to back up UC Saros, who's still looking for a contract as well. I believe Saros is in arbitration with the Predators. But yeah, I love Arvidsson, Yarncrook, and Ellis. Huge names that you can't really replace, and they didn't even replace. Still have Duchesne and Ryan Johansson, who are big cap hits that don't really perform well. Still have Philip Forsberg. They're kind of taking a step back, not really turning it all down just yet, maybe just starting to. I have them below Dallas, obviously. I feel like, Nashville, Arizona, maybe Chicago, sort of in the same position, but that's obviously biased from a Coyotes perspective. Moving on to Winnipeg, they lose a lot of depth, but keep, their firepower, Scheifele, Wheeler, Ehlers, Dubois. I'm not really sure where Dubois is at after that Liney trade. I didn't watch many Winnipeg games, and their playoff, they only played, they got swept in the second round. I didn't see much playoff games in Winnipeg. Not sure how Dubois is fitting in Winnipeg, so it'll be nice to see that. But they get, Dylan Schmidt and Riley Nash. Dylan I love. I would have loved the Coyotes if they got Dylan. Good second, third pairing D-man. That was worth it. They really solidified their D-man this offseason. Also getting Nate Schmidt from Vancouver. Vancouver just gets Schmidt and Holtby for 1 year and then ships them off for whatever reason. Riley Nash, was injured. He got traded at the deadline to Toronto. Didn't play much with the Leafs. Maybe he's healthy. It's a good depth forward, but they lose a lot of good depth. Appleton to Seattle. Trevor Lewis, we remember him from the Kings. Matthew Perreault goes to Montreal. Boissois, their backup, goes to Vegas. And then Nate Thompson, another depth forward. So they lose some depth forwards. Don't really replace them. Maybe they have some younger guys in the system to replace, but they lose some sandpaper in their bottom six. That's hard to replace. But they still have some good high-end talent that could take them to top three in the division. Minnesota, they added depth defenseman. They lose Carson Soucy, who's a good young defenseman. I'm surprised they didn't protect him. They buy out Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. Parise still unsigned, but rumors are he's going to the Islanders. Nick Bonino, third line centerman. Bonino always has great games against the Coyotes, so I'm happy he's gone. I believe he went to San Jose. And then they still need to sign Kaprizov. There's rumors of him going to the Russian league, but that's like a negotiation tactic. They should definitely sign him. If they lose Kaprizov, that's a huge blow, and then they have to get Eichel if that happens. They pick up Goligoski from the Coyotes. Well, he's free agent. Kulikov, Merrill, again, that's defenseman. And Frederick Gaudreau from the Pittsburgh Penguins, a depth forward, replaces Bonino, younger guy. He had a good season with the Penguins. So we have Minnesota. They had a great breakout year last season out of nowhere with their new coach, Dean Evison, who I think is a great coach. Kaprizov just injected new life into the roster. And then management and the coach decided to move on from Parise and Suter and get some change of culture in the locker room. So we'll see. Maybe, it's either Minnesota maintains their elite level of play, or whether just because of that weak division they were in last season, that it was just, a one-off season. Now teams are aware of Kaprizov. He was shut down in the playoffs by Vegas. Maybe they take a step back. But if they do maintain that elite status, they're right up there with Colorado to fight for the division title. And then we go to Chicago. I have no idea what Chicago was doing. Last offseason, they sent a letter out saying they were rebuilding to the fans, and then they move on from Crawford, and that's it. And then they just added a whole bunch of heavy cap hit and veteran players. They get Marc-Andre Fleury. He's a lot of money for 1 year. It's only 1 year, so that's not too bad. But they signed Seth Jones to a massive contract, and in the process give away not two first round. Well, they did give away 2 first round picks, but got 1 back. And they also give away Boquist to Columbus, who's a good young D blue chip prospect. So they're not rebuilding if they're trading away a blue chip prospect and a first round pick for a huge contract in Seth Jones, who people argue isn't worth it. And then they get Tyler Johnson, who's a captain from Tampa Bay. That's a huge contract as well. They give away Seabrook for that. So they did move on from Keith and Seabrook, but they should, that's an obvious thing. But I think the GM of Chicago is like, we're not rebuilding unless we have to trade away Kane and Taves, and he's not trading away Kane and Taves. So why not just keep trying until Kane and Taves are at the end of their careers? I think that's what's happening. You cannot rebuild without trading Kane and Taves. So they're kind of like retooling on the fly, trying to get some good players. I like Kara and McCabe, good depth players, good money, but don't like Jones or the Johnson. Fleury helps them a lot because they had those rookie goaltenders. Last year was funny with Chicago. They came out of the gate unexpectedly good, and then near the end of the season just petered out, and their young guys couldn't carry them for the whole season. It was only 20 or 30 games they're actually playing good hockey. They also lose Pius Suter to the Detroit Red Wings, who had a great rookie season, but then they decided to move on from him. Kampf goes to Toronto, a good fourth-line penalty kill guy. And Zadorov, I forget where he went, but they acquired him from Colorado last offseason. So, and they lose Hinostroza, who goes to Buffalo. Not sure why he went to Buffalo. So Chicago, I guess they wanted to rebuild and then decided just to get some veteran long-term cap hits for the rest. Jones is 8 years. Johnson, I don't know how many years he has left. I think it's 2 or 3. Tampa's been trying to get rid of him for a while. So yeah, they're not obviously tearing it all down. They're retooling, refreshing, maybe sort of like St. Louis. I don't know where to put them. If Fleury has a Vezina season behind the Blackhawks defense, they could make the top 3 in the division easy. But for some reason, I don't see them as so dangerous as they used to be. They still have Kane. Taves is coming back. He didn't play last season due to a weird injury or leave of absence. Dylan Strome, DeBrincat still there. So yeah, it has been a while since the Coyotes have faced Chicago, so maybe I'm not giving them the credit they deserve. But maybe I'll see them as 4th in the division. I see Dallas ahead of Chicago, and then Chicago needs to sort out what they're actually doing. If they were going for a rebuild, they had good pieces to move. and they had some good prospects, but losing Boakfist, Suter, doesn't really help them in the rebuild. And then we get to Arizona. I could have added so many more green names here, like the 3 Vancouver players, but I just decided to put on the board players who probably will be on their mainstay roster for a long time in this season and will have an impact on the game. You have Gostisbehere and Timmins, who will slot right into their decor, along with Strawman, who replaces Hjalmarsson on the third pairing. I'm liking that Strawman pickup as days go by. Keep him on the third pairing. I like their decor. Like, it's looking like Chikrin, Labushkin, Timmins, Gostisbehere, and then Soderstrom, Strawman. So I like that. Good decor. Their goalies, every time I see their tandem, it gives me a headache. I don't know what they're going to do with this goaltending tandem. I have a feeling Bill Armstrong will get another goaltender. My meme that I'm trying to start is that Henrik Lundqvist, will come to the Coyotes on a cheap deal just as a rehab session and then get traded at the deadline to a cup contender. That's my meme. Because Hudden and Kozhanaj, they're not going anywhere with that tandem. But I like they still have a competitive roster. Like I just mentioned, their decor is really good. It's competent. It's competitive. And then on the forward front, you still have Keller, Schmaltz, Hayden, Dvorak, Kessel, Yannick. So they still have some upfront firepower. I think they're not going to trade Dvorak and Kessel in the offseason. They'll see more like trade deadline moves to increase their value. And Bill Armstrong even reported he wants a first-round pick and prospect for Dvorak, which is fair value for Dvorak. I know Boston and Montreal are in dire need of second-line centermen. Krejci moved to the Czech Republic, and Montreal lost Deneau to Vegas. So those two teams looking for a centerman. I'm sure that's rising the market price for Dvorak. So, yeah, they lose a whole bunch of defensemen. Goligoski, Osterley, Demers is still a free agent. Hjalmarsson retires. Gross goes to Colorado. Pitlick was picked up by Seattle and then traded to Calgary. Good power forward winger. And then, they lose Hill, Ranta, and Kemper. So their goalie pipeline takes a huge hit. We'll see how they manage that. Dzingel, maybe I'm seen as maybe a top line winger because he doesn't play bottom six type hockey. So he'll be in the top six. I'm going to make a video on their current lineup, obviously, for the Coyotes, just to put it all on the board. But imagine like a Dzingel, Schmaltz, and Keller line, and then Barrett, Hayden, Dvorak, Kessel. Good top six. And then you have all those meaty guys in your bottom six, like Yaskin and Krause, Fisher, and then you have Larson as your third line centerman, and Boyd and Beagle and Roussel in that, fourth line forward position. It could be, a heavy team in the bottom six. Still got some good firepower in the top six. We'll see how it all lands. They had to lose OEL. Sucks to lose Garland, but they weren't getting rid of OEL unless they attached them with draft picks or Garland. And they weren't losing any more draft picks. And then Bunting, it sucks. They lose in a free agency. Could have used him. Maybe it was just a flash in the pan season he had where he scored 10 goals in 20 games. We'll see what type of player he turns into on the Leafs. So I would keep an eye on Bunting. But other than that, most of these red players they had to move on from. Just the goaltending sucks and losing Garland sucks. Everyone else, maybe a little bit Bunting too sucks, but everyone else, they had to go, and I knew they would move on from Goligoski, Osterley, Hjalmarsson. Like, those were givens. I'm surprised Bill Armstrong didn't trade them at the trade deadline because they would have had even more draft picks, but we all know how that went. So this is the Central Division. Get used to it. Get familiar with it. We'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word, and thank you for your support.